Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So I'm super excited to welcome you back for another iHeartEDU webinar. This time, Melissa King is joining us again, and she's going to be sharing about Flipgrid. Melissa, you want to take a moment and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I am Melissa King. I am currently a third grade teacher, and I'm with Hesperia Unified School District, and I'm here to talk about giving students some voice today.
Awesome. So just like normal, as we go through this webinar, please feel free to share any of your thoughts or questions or comments in the comment section on Facebook, or if you're on YouTube, the live chat on YouTube. And then that way you can go back and look at those questions or comments at any time. I've already shared Melissa's presentation for today, and that should be there for you to access if you want to follow along from your own device. And if not, it's great for you to be able to refer to it later. So I am going to kind of hide myself now and let Melissa take the wheel and get going.
I like that reference to a song that you just made. So this is a presentation about how you could use a tool called Flipgrid, which is one of my favorite, and many have found this as their favorite these days, with distance learning and student voice. So a little bit about me, just in case you don't know me, my name is Melissa King. I'm an educator, a wife, a mother of a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old who I adore taking to Disneyland, which is currently closed. And my Twitter handle is @It's Mrs. King. My website is kingscorner.org, where I put things occasionally if you would like to check that out, as well as occasional blog posts. I am a certified trainer and innovator with Google for Education. So I absolutely love this quote. And so I've kept it ever since Flipgrid had it in one of their presentations. If social media and student-centered learning had a baby, it would be Flipgrid. So we know how much that students love things like TikTok and Instagram and emojis. So Flipgrid is a platform that allows for them to be engaged with the things that they like to do in their spare time while giving it some safe learning environments. Here's some benefits of Flipgrid. So I know there's probably many more, so I'm going to run through these pretty quickly. It gives the kids student voice, not just using their voice, but an opportunity to actually record themselves and know that their teacher is going to hear it and their peers can hear it. And so it gives them the chance to really speak up. And sometimes you hear from children that you wouldn't necessarily hear from in the normal classroom setting. Sometimes I've heard things that I wouldn't have heard, I don't think, or I wouldn't have seen them express without this tool. You get to hear all of your students, which can sometimes actually be a little bit impossible in the normal school day or even through the distance learning process. And it gives each and every student a chance to show their thinking. It's an instructional time saver, comprehensible teacher feedback. So giving feedback with a rubric is something that we're going to hit today. Students' individualized pace. So if you record your own videos on there for them, they can repeat those videos, rewind those videos. It definitely has been found to engage learners in many classrooms across the world. And it changes elements in educational practices. Once that you get a video recording tool in the hands of students that is useful in education, there's endless possibilities of what you can do. It creates a collaborative culture, and not just for students within the room and teachers within the room, but all over, really, because there are other tools in place like Grid Pals, where you can have a pen pal in New York when you are a student in California. It creates a safe haven with privacy in place, and it builds strong student confidence sometimes. As I said, some students will do more on camera than they would on a normal day coming into the classroom. So you really see a varied personality, and it can increase confidence. So it's really easy. So the basics of getting started are to visit flipgrid.com, create a free account or sign in. create a new grid, share the link your QR code, or place it on Google Classroom, which many teachers love these days. So I actually want to take you and show you how to create the grid. So I'm going to go a little bit past here. And all of these slides are available to you. I know Megan was already connecting you with the link. So I'm already logged in. So I'm going to click here where it says Add Grid. And I'm going to show you some things here. So we'll just name this grid since we're live. I'm just going to call it live. You can choose to use your school emails for students to join with. You can choose to have them insert a student ID, or you can create one that's for if you're doing a training with teachers or you have an extended learning community that's not necessarily in your domain, in your site or your school setting. This is a good one too, to choose for that. So I'm going to choose the school email and hit next. Now our domain, the domain is it's at Hisbury USD. That's our domain at hisburyusd.org. That's my domain. For our students, we have to make sure to put in theirs. They're husdstudent.com. And if there's any other domain that you want using this grid, otherwise, that's what it's limited to. So there's those quick privacy things that I was referring to. So now it's as simple as that. The grid is ready. So it's essentially ready to go, and you can either copy this link. You can give this as the code right here, and they can go to Flipgrid, and they can literally just enter this code to access the grid. And then there's other means of sharing here. That Google Classroom button is also right there. So I'm going to click on Go to the Grid. Now, it automatically gives you this topic. So I'll be honest, a lot of the time, these grids have several topics within one grid. And so I don't always need this one, and I just delete it. But you can add different topics as you please right here. So think of the grid kind of like Google Classroom in a way, since that's so popular, or like one main thing. So maybe this is like your math grid. And under each topic, you have a different day's number talk or a different day's critical thinking math problem that you want the children to do. So first of all, I'm going to show you some things about the grid, and then I'll show you some things about the topic. And I am going to go a little quickly on these things because I really want to get to what you can do with Flipgrid. And this is kind of just a skeleton of how to use it in case you haven't been familiar with it. So in my grid, I can go to the editing pencil and I can change things up. So if I wanted to turn it into public, I could. I would just have to come over here and put this, and then you can actually secure it with a password as well if you do that. You can decide if this is going to be active or hidden. So you can actually hide it from students and create something ahead of time, or you can hide it when you don't want them responding anymore. You can choose, this is really important, and this is kind of a newer update. You can choose to have a daily, weekly, or every single new video get an email, or never get an email. So depending on what your grid purpose is, you can set your notifications for email. You can turn captions on and off here. You can even allow students to receive email notifications so that they know when someone has responded to their video or when a new topic is created. You can change your grid look right there. So I'm going to update my grid. And if you want to view it as a student, you can click here, and this is what the students see. I'll have to log in again. So looking at it as a student, this is what the students would see. And so they would just go down here to hit the record button. They wouldn't see the same teacher features that we were just in. Something really awesome is if you click this button, it will read it aloud. So it has that accessibility feature as well. So I'm going to add a topic. So if this were, as I said, a math grid, and I wanted to do a number talk, and I want to, let's just say, count aloud by 1/4 from, let's make them start at 2.5 to, oops, 2.5 to, I don't know, 12. And so, I would probably actually put that in my description. Sorry about that. And then I'd put like Monday's number talk. Okay, and then explain any patterns you see. And so this could essentially be like a daily number talk or a daily math problem that you have your kids responding to and talking about. You get to choose the recording time. This is a new feature that it now goes up to 10 minutes. It used to only be 5. I like to gauge my students, so depending on what it is, I might only give them 2 minutes, because if I give them all 10 minutes, they all take 10 minutes to answer this problem. I could be sitting there for quite a long time. You can choose if you don't want anyone else to know their answers, or if you want to be in charge of moderation, you can turn this on. That means that their video will be hidden. Now, oftentimes the students think, it didn't work, I have to do it again, it's not showing. It does give them a notification, it's hidden. But sometimes they keep re-recording. So you might want to tell your students if you put on that video moderation. But that allows for you to view it and then approve it to your grid. So if you have someone in there that you're just worried about privacy, or you're worrying about whether it's appropriate or not, that's a good feature. You can give them an image, a GIF, an emoji. Right here is where you could actually record your own instructional video, and then you can upload it on here. Sometimes if I don't have a video or a picture for the math problem or the puppet show task, then I just look for a GIF and choose one and then use that one just to give it a different appearance and create topic. All right, so to share, you can just share the topic or you can share the whole grid. So usually I share topics if it's something that I want them to do for the day. If I'm making something like a scavenger hunt, I share the whole entire grid, and every topic is a different scavenger hunt question, which I think we're going to hit more later. But that's what I would do with a scavenger hunt. So the other thing that you could do is there is a way to grade your students. You can, in this topic editing piece, you can choose if you're going to allow students to reply to each other or not. You can turn likes on or off. Sometimes it depends on if it's necessary. Sometimes there's a little population or popularity contest between them. And then this is super awesome. So you can provide basic feedback or custom feedback. And so you'll see I made a little quick rubric to show you here. You can make a rubric and you can actually add criteria. So you can say, you know, like voice or composure or grammar use, whatever it is that you want. So I'm just going to click down and put some things here. Minimum score 0 to 4. So on a rubric, if you envision, it's kind of got different criteria, right? And so then you can use these criteria and you can add them. And when you go to grade a video, you will be able to grade it as if you have a rubric. So that is a super amazing feature for grading, because students know that they're being graded and that there's points in what they're doing, and they're not just on here thinking that they're YouTubing, and it has some endless possibilities once you add that piece. All right, so that's how pretty much that you navigate around Flipgrid. And you can add topic guests as well. So you can invite guest speakers and authors or other teachers. You can share the grid with another teacher as well. Sometimes we will cross-collaborate and our whole entire grade level will be on the same grid. One thing that is next in the slideshow is the Disco library. And just like Many teachers like to find things online that they can use that other people have created. That's what the Disco Library's purpose is here. So you can find different activities. So I just found one, area and perimeter, and you can assign these to your students. So I clicked on this one because area and perimeter is something that a lot of grades do teach. And you can actually select what grid you want to put this in, and you can add it to your grid. And if you want to change any of the directions, you can. And what this one will do, it looks like, is attach an actual video about area and perimeter and give a task for that. And it says that it's using vocabulary. So sometimes they even have Epic on here. And I know a lot of teachers like their kids reading with Epic. So you can find something that goes with a collection on Epic. So sometimes when I open these and I'm reading these, it's saying read one of these books about kindness and then respond. So I will go on to Epic and I will assign that collection to my students, and it gives the link here too. But it's really just a place to go to see what other educators are up to. You can search by your audience, your grade level, your subject, or you can do kind of a freelance search on what topic you're looking for. And so it's a good place to go to borrow some ideas. I had mentioned Grid Pals. And so right here on Flipgrid, you see this Grid Pals, and this is a place where you can go and play around to see who wants to do a Grid Pal activity with your class. So their class would be Grid Pals with your class. This past year, I did one with a 7th grade class for Read Across America Week, and the 7th graders read stories and asked questions for comprehension and main idea, and that sort of skill-based literature questions to my 3rd graders. So that was something that they really enjoyed, and it's really easy to do. And if you need to find a classroom, you can come on here and get information of who's looking to be a Grid Pal, and you can contact them. One more thing is mixtapes. And I wish I could play these for you, but I can't because they have all my students on them. But what I've done is it will curate, going back to Guardians of the Galaxy and his mixtapes and his amazing music. I wish I had a sound effect there. Megan's in the background. Maybe she could find one. You can curate a bunch of videos from all different grids, put them together, and make your own mixtape. So I have a mixtape here about puppet shows. And so I put my class's puppet shows in a mixtape. And so it just mixes it together and it just plays it throughout the mixtape. And so you'll see other ones that I've made. And it's super amazing to be able to just mesh things together. So now I'm going to go back to the slideshow and see where we're at with that. So we went over mixtapes. Okay, so when you hit that record button, here is where that you go, and when you hit that green button, this is what you see. Sorry, my 2-year-old in the background over here, and she's begging to watch my phone. So I'm going to be the mom who gives her the phone for a minute because it's real life.
We all have those moments.
She was with Daddy. I don't know what happened. It's fine. All right. So there's the fancy recording features. And once that the kids hit the green button, this is what they see. So there's just a lot here. So I put this on the slides, but I'm going to go show you in Flipgrid actually, because it's just so much easier to see what I mean. So if I'm a student and I go here, then here I'm ready to record. And so this is the recording. So when I click on this, it gives you the countdown and you can record here. So I'm hitting pause now to show you that up here, it tells me how much time I have left. So I have 1:27 left on this recording because it was only set for 1.5 minutes. If I forgot what the topic question was, I can show the topic and I can even move it, which is really cool. So I can move it over here okay, so I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm going to write down something on a sticky. I'm going to move this over here so I can see myself. And then I'm going to type what I'm going to say when I press record again so that I don't mess up. Now, the cool thing is whoever watches this video, they don't see the sticky notes and they don't see the topic instructions either. So those are there for the recorder to know what they're doing. And this down here is a photo sticker. So I can insert something from my computer. So if I wanted to use this as a screen recording sort of thing for making lessons, this is a great tool for doing that. And you can add graphs or pictures from a science class that you want to talk about and put them on there. This is a whiteboard feature. You can either have whiteboard or you can have blackboard, whichever one you prefer. And right when you're recording, you can be recording with it and writing right on it and talking to your students and working out a math problem. Definitely easier if you have the app and you're trying to show something and you have it on a tablet. Now, when I'm done with that, I'm going to clear the board and I can clear this as well. Okay, so now I'm back to where I was and I've got stickers as well down here. One of the newest features that they added was arrows. So you have all your emojis, like all of them. You have other stickers and you have things like hats and glasses. And then if you are teaching your students and you need an arrow to point to something, these are some new updates that happened in May. You've got some arrows to put in there to point to different things that you're talking about. And then when you record, again, say I put an image in and I have the arrow pointing, it's just more to do to direct students during a possible screen recording or lesson that you're creating for them or something that you're explaining, or if they're explaining to you. Then the other sticker that I didn't go to was the magic ball right here. And so we've got some fun Flipgrid creatures that you can put on there. You can also insert text. Looks much like Instagram to me. And then you've got filters. So this magic ball right there, there it goes. You can change your filters to be other things for effects. So my kids did puppet shows and I don't know, one of the stories was they were going into like another dimension or something. So they turned this one on and I went, whoa, what happened to your screen? I realized, oh, they're using a filter. They got really creative with it. So that is another cool thing to use. Let me close these. So now if you don't like what you recorded, you can hit the redo and it will delete it. And right here, you can switch your camera. So you can go backward or to a different camera. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit next and you can record. And then if I am happy with this, I can keep it. I can trim things and you can record here. Right here, so you can even trim them. So then if I want to add more, so I'm going to hit confirm over here. I want to add more because I still have time left. So I can go ahead and click add more and I can record again. Say I wanted to talk a little bit, but then I wanted to actually show my kids something that I had pre-recorded. I can go to these three dots and I can add a video clip that I have on my computer, or I can even screen record. Now the screen record is a new feature. So you can record your desktop. So you would hit start screen recording. And you can choose your entire screen, an application window, or a Chrome tab. So whichever one that you choose to record, I'm just going to choose the window that I'm in, I suppose. And then this will allow you to go off into your lesson and teach while showing your screen. So say you want to give directions. It's Monday, it's a fresh week. You have something for your kiddos to need to know to accomplish their tasks in distance learning. So you can use this tool. I know that there's a lot of other great extensions, but this is a really good tool that's always free for teachers. So this will not expire. The freeness of this will go on and on. So that's something that Flipgrid has promised us. When you're done recording, you can stop it. And then you're able to actually, if you decide, oh, I wanted that screen recording to be in the front of what I said. So then I can even take this, and this is also a newer feature. You can drag and you can rearrange your videos. So you'll see now it's going to start with that, even though I recorded this after it. Now, when you're all done, I'm going to hit confirm. This will allow you next. And then you take your selfie, which students do. And every single time that you submit, you take your selfie. They are able to mess with these things and decorate their face or whatever that they choose to do. And then you hit next. And you even have the capability to save this recording. So that is really awesome because you might want to save this recording so that way you have it to save on your drive or something else. So that way it's not here. You can send it in an email. So you can even download these recordings. Okay, I'm gonna go back over here again. If you want to ever remember what a button is for, this super crazy fancy recording feature slide is there for you. And we went over some of the updates, but this is another really awesome one. So Flipgrid just this month came out with an extension. So you would actually go to the Chrome store. This works for Microsoft and Chrome because Flipgrid's actually a Microsoft company. So you go to download it, and I put a picture of the Chrome Web Store one because in our district, that's what we use. You click on Add to Chrome, and you can literally just do a Google search for it. Whoops. And then once it's added, you just go up to the top, and you'll see it right here. And I'm not thinking that I didn't put it on this one. So I didn't put it on this particular computer. It's on my other one because I use my other one most of the time when I'm Flipgridding. But what you do is you go up to the top and you click on the plus sign. It drops down and it's just an extension. So you don't even have to go to flipgrid.com. You just click on the icon and it drops down and you type in your flip code. So if you're trying to get your students to quickly go to Flipgrid, you can have this extension added for them for ease. And once they're logged into Chrome, it should just work like a charm. We went over those updates and the arrows. And then the camera use that we went over. The only thing that I didn't talk about was the stop motion. So if you wanted to make a stop motion video, or if you want students to make a stop motion video to showcase their learning, one of the Flipgrid bloggers, she did one and it was super cute. She was showing the steps to make origami. So if you need a fun end of the year activity, you can have your students make some kind of craft and show each step. And then you just hit record, pause, put it down, do the next step, hold it up, hit record, pause, next step. And so you are able to make a stop motion video with it. So they could teach each other with stop motion videos, or you can teach them with stop motion videos. And we went over the screen recording and the ability to share your screen with students and to download it after if you wanted to use that, similar to the use of something like Screencastify. Now, here's some ways to engage learners. So there's a ton of ideas out there, and I'm going to show you some from not just me, but from a lot of different people. Here's some things that I've done in the past with Flipgrid that might spark something in you. Talking about making distance learning, especially right now, really interactive. Thinking about those grid pals and how to connect classrooms, especially maybe your grid pals are the class that used to be next door to you. And maybe your class just needs to team up with somebody at your site right now. But it could be somebody from across the world. So the possibilities of that are endless. As I said previously, you could have a guest speaker come to your classroom, and you could hit that add guest speaker. And so it doesn't have to be live, which is really amazing because a lot of the authors that I've had come to visit my classroom, I've struggled with the time zones and with lunches and PE time. So this allows for it not to have to be live. So an author can come on and you can have a Q&A, or whatever that your industry focus is in your classroom, or whatever your students are highly engaged with. The question of the day, or question of the week, question of the month, it could be fun. It could be, as I said before, some kind of math question, science question, something that engages them and makes them think. You could have them explain a math problem. So one of the things with engagement is, I believe that if you increase engagement, you can easily increase the rigor, because once you have them in the palm of your hand, so to speak, like, they're going to be thinking a lot more for you than they would if they were not so interested. So giving them a lengthy math problem and having them talk about it on Flipgrid, and then really incredibly being able as a teacher to sit down and hear them. I mean, in my day of school, we didn't have Flipgrid, right? Like, we didn't even have laptops one-to-one like we do now. So thinking back on that, my teachers saw my end result, but they didn't always see my process. And Flipgrid allows you to see the process of your students' thinking. So you could take that and just run with that. Create a virtual tour. So you could app smash and use different things. I've used some Google Maps and screen recording and taken my kids on a virtual tour right in Flipgrid, and then have them respond to some things after. You could make one grid and have different topics. So maybe one grid is Paris, and then there's different topics of viewpoints in Paris and things that they need to explore, whether you're giving them directions or you're sharing your screen with them and taking them there, depending on your age group and your tasks that you give them. Then they get to do something to engage with it via Flipgrid. You could create an off-the-page type book report. So something like a pitch to make a commercial for a book. So a little bit different of your typical book report. Literature circle blogs. So in the past, I've done blogs. It was really awesome to switch to the vlog, where I had my literature circle groups. I would pose them different questions, and each group would get on and they would do their discussion, kind of like a panel discussing a book, but on Flipgrid. And it doesn't have to be one person in front of the camera. It was all 3 or 4 of them in their literature circle or in their guided reading group. So that could be something. Now, thinking about distance learning, if you had breakout sessions and they discussed it and then they went to go respond on Flipgrid, or perhaps they come to your small group, they read the book with you, you do strategic reading with them in the lesson, and then when they go back to Flipgrid later, they see the task. Today we read about this, please respond to this, and then go and watch your group members and respond to theirs as well. So there's still the capability to do it with them not being in the same room. And talking about books is one of my favorite things to do with kids. And when they feel that books are valuable because their teacher shows that interest, they will love reading. And it's a great way to increase their reading interest, to have something as engaging as this. We have a lot of like YouTube read alouds right now. So one of the things that some schools have been doing are mystery readers. So they'll have like readers, like, you don't know who it's going to be. And it might be hidden and they have like an emoji over their face. And then the day it opens, it's like, who's reading to us today? And the mystery reader is, and then that day's read aloud appears. So playing with some fun ways to engage learners, I thought that one was really good. Mentors for small groups. So going back to that literature circle blog piece, one of my most awesome experiences with Flipgrid was seeking on the Twitter community. And if you're not on Twitter, I highly suggest it. There's a little Twitter plug, always. I had some volunteers who were educators that I knew. They were from all over. And they came on as my guests to my grid, and I assigned them each a book. And I was wondering if they would be willing to read the book, but they were so willing. And they read the same book as that literature circle group that they were assigned to read. And they really helped me drive the book conversation. So they would be in their office or at their kitchen table, and they knew the days that my children were reading the next chapter in class, and they would come on and they'd say, okay, I know you read chapter 3 today. What did you think? Because I was thinking this. And the kids, they just ate it up. And it was so good in both sides, because I had some amazing feedback from educators that were saying it just recharged them. And it was one of their favorite things at all time to do. Where I felt like, oh, am I going to be burdening them to spend time to read this book and then respond to my kids? And here I'm the teacher. But really having those people plugged in was really amazing. And to have people like that, there's all kinds of people on Twitter, Facebook. There's just so many people who are more than willing to do something like that for you. And if you strategically pick them, especially if they're educators or librarians, you'll get some really rich content for kids. And then podcasting. So as an intro to podcasting, I know that some teachers have used Flipgrid for like their first stages of podcasting. And you can even put a sticky note over the camera and just record the audio, and that could be a really good starting point for that. Documenting progress of passion projects. This is something I struggled with. How do I know, because I'm driving with inquiry, right? But how do I know that I've met all my students' needs when they're working on those inquiry projects or those passion projects or genius hours 20% times? So I decided, why don't I just open a topic for every single student in my classroom or for the groups of students working on them, and tell them, whenever we work on passion projects, spend the last 5 to 10 minutes telling me what you accomplished today, showing me, and then I can actually leave you feedback. And I had so much time saved, because then I'm still able to roam the room and help to question. But if I didn't get to that group, I know they're going to respond on Flipgrid. I'm going to be able to get back to them about their passion project, so that the next time we work on it, they can listen to my feedback and they can take it from there. And sometimes it was a simple, like, I think I know where you're headed, but next time we have passion project time, come to my table. Sometimes that needed to happen too. It was just really good documentation. SEL Guess Who? So kind of the same thing about the mystery readers. You can cover people up and guess who they are by their voice. There's been some people, TikTok is really big with kind of all kids right now, and adults. So you can use TikTok and have kind of TikTok style, but on the grid, dance and song challenges. This would be something really awesome for end of the year. So I thought this was a good time to discuss how we might be able to do that. There was a Flappy Bird on Instagram. And so you turn the Flappy Bird on and you see like the poles and the bird flying, and you have to kind of move your head to try to get the bird where it wants to go. So if you've seen it, you know I'm not just crazy like bobbing my head on the screen right now. But I saw a PE teacher, and he was doing this, and he was doing push-ups, and he'd have to like get it to move while doing the push-ups. So not my idea, but that was a really cool physical activity to get students moving while kind of gaming. And then if they recorded that, put it on Flipgrid, that's just really awesome. So the semester or the year in reflection, using the mixtapes, and then you can always app smash so many things. So between Google Classroom, Screencastify, Buncee, MergeCube, there's so much that you can app smash with, because when you submit a video, you can even upload a link. And so students have the option to put in a link every time that they submit the video, which allows their video to not just be whatever that they put in their 10-minute video, but they could say, click my link to go see my website that I designed, or to see my slideshow, or to see whatever it is that they want you to see. I mean, I guess it could be an essay. I wouldn't be super excited to do a video and then say, go see my essay, but you know, there's that too. So here, this is something recent that I did with ELA. It was a puppet show. And so I linked in my rubric for them. I made a green screen recording of what a puppet show looks like because I figured not everybody really understood what I wanted from them unless I showed them. So that's my video. I just took a screenshot from Flipgrid. And here's some snapshots of not my students, but their puppets. So those were safe to share. And these turned out so well. Another teacher and I collaborated on this, and our students on Friday, we moderated it. So they were not able to see each other's puppet shows. And on Fun Friday, we got together, invited them to pull up with some snacks to the screen. We shared our screen and we let them watch each other's puppet shows, and then they got to go and respond to them. So it was just a really fun time and a good creative week for them. They actually had to make a script and their story had to teach a lesson. And we reviewed the plot, the story plot elements. And other than doing some math practice that week, this was the meat of what they were doing. Because if you give kids time to really hone in on one thing, I believe that they'll really be able to do well than saying, you know, you have to do this, you have to do history, you have to do math, and da 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 da. So this was our focus. And what we got between the scripts that they linked and the videos, it was just really amazing. So we were very pleased. And some science documentation. So there is, I mailed envelopes of beans and little sprout seeds. And so they've been documenting the process of their science water cycles in a bag and all different things via Flipgrid. So there's one of my students, and she grew inside of eggshells some of her sprouts with cotton balls inside of there. And then that is the moon and the sun telling a story on popsicle sticks for science about how that they interact. One of the other things I mailed was a mini Mrs. King. And so I got the cutest adventures, and this is really popular out there on Twitter, but using Flipgrid to journal the adventures with mini Mrs. King, it's really given us all a connection that we needed. And I know it's a little cheesy for some levels, but even my third graders, they were like, I'm keeping this forever. Like, you're visiting my house, and this is the most awesome thing. So I got tours of rooms, and I even got to do a TikTok dance with a student. So that was just really incredible. Some of the hashtags to follow on Twitter to find out more about Flipgrid and what teachers are doing would be hashtag Flipgrid, Flipgrid for all, and that's actually an educator chat that Flipgrid does that you can participate in, or you could just read about. If you put in that hashtag in the search bar, and then Flipgrid Fever is another one. And I'm going to show you, and I don't know these people, but when I put in some of those hashtags, and this is why Twitter is so amazing, here's what some teachers out there are doing. So this is a visual graph. This is first grader. First graders were supposed to create a graph with things in their house and post it and ask their classmates, had to ask questions, and they were interacting with graphs. I clearly see a graph there, but it's not like your typical graph. But couldn't you ask your students how in their response they could maybe share their screen or draw something and hold it up and show a visual representation of, if they put that graph on paper, what it would look like? And I could think of all kinds of graphs that I could use to represent that with. Here's another one. And so this is a virtual field day, kind of like going back to that Google Map tour. Our school is having something that we call Serendipity Day, which is a day of just pure workshops and learning and highly engaging for kids. And this year we're having to go virtual with it. So something like this would work for a fun end of the year type activity such as that. This teacher, she has morning meetings still going on in Flipgrid. And I know a lot of the SEL focus lends itself to morning meetings. So I wanted to throw that on there because she was talking about feeling close to her class still. This is one of the big fads right now, your Bitmoji Classroom. They're super cute, I know, and they take hours to create. As with anything, I believe you can make it highly engaging. And this teacher did take and put Flipgrid connection to it. And not really sure what the activity was, but as anything, I think that you could make it highly engaging for them if it's your classroom and the rigor is up. It's cute. And I love how she has the Flipgrid in the back there. Here's the procedural telling, which you could also pair with the writing. But I know in a lot of the standards, it talks about doing things in a special order. So students could video the tape themselves doing a recipe and talking about the fractions in a recipe and what if they've doubled the recipe. This particular student is working on those procedural steps of how to create this Minecraft world, I guess. I don't play Minecraft, I'll be honest. But students are really into it. And so when I was listening to this on Flipgrid, I was amazed with what he was saying. And if he could put that down in writing, what he just said, I mean, he could play it back and write it. That would be amazing. And for some kids, they get that writer's block. And so maybe Flipgrid could be a tool to get them to go in the right direction. This is on the slides. And so if you click here, you're going to see the Flipgrid blog. There is Anne, Jess, and Jornay. They are Flipgrid bloggers. They have a ton of resources and here they are. They're amazing people. And if you have this is just blog.flipgrid.com. And if you have any questions about how to integrate things, so right here, integration docs, this is where you could go to find out more for if you teach language arts or science, or if you want to focus in on a certain group of students, like a certain age group or grade, then you can click any of these. And for science, I just clicked on a high school one, and they have what you can be doing in science here. So they even have some disco library pieces where they just tell you kind of what you could pull from there. And so those bloggers are amazing. Those and Jess and Jornay do just amazing things. And so if you can follow them on Twitter, and if you go and you read the blogs that are posted by them or watch the videos, you can even subscribe. Flipgrid has a YouTube channel, and they are doing so many right now that are helpful. So how to drive your classroom instruction, especially in this time of remote learning, they have a lot of cool ideas. How to integrate and sort by grade, that button right there will just take you to what I was just showing you. And then this is really awesome. I like this. If you click on this picture in the slideshow, or if you just go to the Flipgrid blog website, they have kind of a one-pager that you can send home to your students. And so if you click this image, this is a how-to guide for families. So if your family is in the classroom, it's different, and it depends on your age group. But this is for families if they need to know, how do I use this tool at home? They have this for you. All right, and so that was Flipgrid in a nutshell, and a lot of ideas for engaging your learners in Flipgrid. So one of the things that I was thinking when I was creating this, I just kind of put together and summed up. Engagement will almost certainly improve student learning outcomes. Giving kids a voice rather than being a passive audience will make an impact. Finally, a classroom that doesn't allow creativity is like a library without books. So how full is your library? And that really made me think when I was thinking about this, you know, that giving kids the chance to be creative and the chance to use their voice is like a library without books. And the purpose of having our classrooms are for our children that are in them, then we need to hear their feedback. We need to hear their thoughts, and we need to really give them a voice. And I love that that is the mission of this company called Flipgrid. So here's my information, and I'll keep it up in case you need it for anything for a moment there. And then Megan I don't know if we have any live comments or questions.
I don't think we have any questions right now. I feel like you were very expansive on everything. So I don't even know. Normally I try to think of questions, but I feel like you hit a lot of the ones that I would have had. So is there any last things that you want to share? Or I always ask, like, what's your one tip to get started? Like, if you haven't used this before.
If you're just getting started and your students have never used it, I wouldn't go too crazy. I would just make one grid, one topic question, and make it kind of just fun and engaging for the first time, and just take it from there.
Perfect. I always say just try it, and it might totally fail, and that's okay if it does, because you're going to have ideas for what to do better in the future. And just like we want to tell and empower in our students is to fail forward and try things and iterate and improve over time, but don't let the fear of trying things stop you from doing something that could be really great. So, all right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. If you did kind of come here at the tail end, you can always go back and watch it from the beginning once we end the broadcast. But again, thank you for joining. Feel free to reach out to Melissa if you have any other Flipgrid questions, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And we will have one more webinar on this Thursday, same time, 4 p.m. So stay tuned for that one as well. Have a great day.